Well, on BWYellowJackets.com, I'm Brendan Gulick with a very special guest this afternoon. We are joined by our new athletic director here on campus, Steve Thompson, who comes to us from Bethany, but certainly has some Northeast Ohio ties. We're going to dive into all that and why he loves BW and why this is a great place for him. Steve, thanks for taking some time to chat a little bit and look forward to not just getting to know you here, but this new era of Yellow Jacket athletics.
Brendan, thanks so much for having me. Really excited to be here and got the hair standing on the back of my neck right now. Just kind of excited to talk about the future and the great traditions that are Baldwin Wallace athletics. So,
well, why don't we start with your journey here, because you've certainly been in 4 or 5 different universities, most of them Division III schools, and certainly have some Northeast Ohio ties with being a Worcester grad. You've worked at Case. You worked at Kent. This obviously is an area that means something to you. So I have to imagine that when you saw that this opportunity was open, it caught your attention. But I don't want to assume why. So why did it catch your attention?
No, absolutely. I am from Northeast Ohio. Grew up in Rittman, Ohio, close to Orrville, Worcester, where I ended up playing basketball at the College of Worcester, and really call this area home and built my career and kind of my path through my experiences in Northeast Ohio. As far as why Baldwin Wallace, growing up, I'm a Division III guy. I love what Division III means, that small college where you can still be a scholar and an athlete, and really enjoy that time competing at a high level, and then also worrying about the academic piece and where you end up 4 years after your experience as a scholar athlete. As I told folks on the interview, Baldwin Wallace is one of those, there's probably 50 schools in the country that can really compete at that national level in Division III, and Baldwin Wallace in Northeast Ohio is one of those. So when the opportunity came, the door opened a little bit, I tried to run right through it, kind of using that sports analogy, just put my head down and go. Got to meet the coaches. Some of the coaches I knew from the past, just following, being in this area. Sherry obviously has done a great job with women's basketball, and Coach Harrison with baseball, Jamie Gibbs, what he's done with wrestling. I think the coaches here and their aspirations are so much more. So I'm really excited to see where I can help them go as well.
You're walking into a conference that, everybody seems to think that their league is one of the best in the country, and maybe in certain sports there are lots of leagues that can claim that. But I like you, have spent a lot of time around Division III athletics, and I really believe that top to bottom, there are maybe 5 leagues that could claim that in just about every sport. Maybe not everyone, but just about everyone. And the Ohio Athletic Conference is one of them. I mean, this is a really tough, competitive league that gets a lot of good student athletes, and certainly a lot of them are from this region. First of all, what's it mean for you to now be working in that conference, and as part of that interview process, what kinds of questions did coaches ask you about how you can support them in their recruiting efforts, knowing how competitive the league is?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Really excited to be in the OAC. Having competed in the NCAC, which obviously prides itself for different reasons, the OAC, top to bottom, is competitive. There's no day off in really any sport as you look across the board. So really excited to be in that. You say 5 conferences, I'd probably argue there's probably 3, but that's between you and me and a side conversation. But it's really where the coaches come from is how do we get that kid excited about Baldwin Wallace that will help us take us to that next level. Through my experience, spending a little bit of time at Ashland University as well, to compete at that national level, at the Division II level, you might need that Division I kid. To be at a national level here at Baldwin Wallace, we need to convince that Division II kid, that premier Division III kid, that here's where you come to excel on the court, on the field, battle for championships, but then your outcome as far as what that academic experience is going to be and where you're going to be when you walk across the stage is also top level. So it's not just about what that competitive experience is. I like to compete, and I'm going to want to win all the time. I want to take it out east and try to beat a couple of those teams east of us as much as we can. But it's really about what that whole experience is and what we can sell then to those recruits that get us to that next level, and really excited about what we have to offer here.
And as a former Division III student athlete, having played basketball at Worcester, I think it lends a unique perspective to the experience of what it truly means to play at this level, and how competitive you can make it, but frankly, how competitive you can be in the classroom. That's something I'm certain is unique to being a Division III student athlete nowadays. How did your experience as a student athlete sort of shape your mentality? I mean, you mentioned you're a Division III guy. How much did that experience playing basketball at Worcester, studying at Worcester, cement for you that this is a really good opportunity if you're an 18, 19-year-old kid that wants to go play college athletics?
Yeah, my experience there, we had an opportunity to compete at a high level. Actually one year we played Ohio Northern in the NCAA tournament, and knew those were big games, right? That opportunity on a national stage to compete. But then the next day we were in class, right? Those sorts of things where at the Division I level, you're pretty much tuckered into your locker room the whole time, or team room, and you're not, I don't want to say not going to class, but that's not always the most important. And why I think it's so important at the Division III level, and that experience for me at Worcester, and why I knew I was a D3 guy, was because those relationships that happen outside. Here we are in a great locker room, and you make your best friends. My best friends are former players. But I also have great relationships with people that I met along the way through my experience as a student. And I think those relationships that can last a lifetime are why Division III is so unique. They don't always happen at the Division I or Division II level. You get to know your faculty better. You see them out at dinner. Different things like that. That does not happen at Kent State. It doesn't happen at Ohio State because their schedules are so manipulated by the athletic department or by their coaches that they don't have those unique experiences that are so unique to that Division III experience that ultimately made me the person I am. I'm still competitive. I'll still try to battle it with some of our kids here whenever I can, get some shots up. I was shooting with the women's basketball team a little bit at one of their camps, showing them how great a shooter I was, those kind of things. But that's only part of that approach as a Division III student athlete that you get only at this level. And Baldwin Wallace and the outcomes they've done over the years, that list of really successful alums beyond their sport is great, and that's what sells the Division III experience.
Talk to us a little bit about the university perspective. Obviously, your job is athletics focused, but in your role, there is a broader sense as well with the university. Why do you believe Baldwin Wallace University is the kind of school that can help someone excel?
Yeah, I think the shape, just driving into campus, if you come down Bagley Road, the first thing you're going to see is Finney Stadium and Ersprung Gym and the athletic component, right? So the argument is always athletics is the front door, right? That's where a lot of people see your school the first time. And so what I'm hopeful to do here is get our tent bigger. I want everybody to be a part. I want the general student to know that on a Saturday afternoon you come to a football game, cheer on the Yellow Jackets, and you stick around for that men's and women's soccer game, or you roll over to the gym and watch a little volleyball, and that becomes kind of the staple of what Baldwin Wallace is. And then through those connections is where all those relationships happen. A faculty member comes watches you at a game, and they point you out in the class, hey, good game, and you start to build that relationship because, that's what's great about my month on the job here at Baldwin Wallace. Everybody will tell you everywhere you go, the people are great, and what has made Baldwin Wallace for a long time is the people. And knowing that the faculty members, the other students, the people that sit across from you in the classroom care about you, changes your experience and changes those relationships that you make along the way. I'm not sure if that really answered your question.
No, absolutely did.
But that's kind of the big kind of direction, right, that I'm hopeful.
I want to wrap by asking a question about the last 18 months because I think everybody in every walk of life has sort of had their lives uprooted and maybe their perspectives changed. Obviously, you weren't here in Berea, but you were in a similar role leading an athletics department during the COVID pandemic. Thankfully, it looks like we're certainly on the back end of that now and moving in a better direction. How did that period of time challenge you as a leader And what did you learn there during that stretch at Bethany that you hope you can apply here?
I think one of the biggest lessons I learned through that is the resiliency of 18 to 22-year-olds. I bought in pretty early that every week was going to be something different, right? But for young men and women that are trying to focus on their academics, still want to compete, right? They're here to be an athlete and be a student. And so they're trying to focus on those two areas, and it's changing constantly. To see how they responded, and if you just look at Baldwin Wallace, where the football team, for example, only played 2 games because that was the change, right? And some other teams were impacted by COVID. And then you had some teams that were able to play their full shortened season. But then they didn't have the chance to compete at a championship level and at the NCAAs, different things like that. But just how resilient they were kind of inspires you. And so the big lesson I learned is that these students are truly amazing people, and if you trust them with that information, because we had to share a lot more and more, right? Because it was constantly moving. That as they become more and more part of that culture, that decision making, they're all bought in. The effort cranks up. All those things. The community is built stronger. Really, what Baldwin Wallace is selling, right? That family I mentioned a little bit ago was built, I think, built very well at my last institution, and really excited to see where we can enhance that here as I join the team, the coaches, the student athletes, the administration. Really just excited for August 10th when football comes back, and August 17th for when the other fall sports come back, and get these kids going again. Because we're going to have fans in the stands. There's going to be environments that they haven't seen. Some of these kids haven't seen really for 2 years, and really excited to bring that energy.
Well, we are really excited to have you, and looking forward to seeing what the fall of 2021 has in store. I think there's certainly a buzz right now of feeling like, okay, now we can get back toward the expectations that Baldwin Wallace fans and alumni and the families here certainly have grown to become accustomed with. So congratulations, and thanks for joining us. Thanks for letting us chat with you a little bit, and I'm sure we're going to see you quite a bit along the way.
Brendan, look forward to it. Thanks so much for taking some time, and we will definitely see you around this place.
All right.